Vanguard isn't your enemy, but they're not your guide either. The truth is, they're not going to point out this IRS rule that could let you access your 401k years before age 59 and a half and do it without that hefty 10% penalty. So that's why today we're going to talk about, if you've been a diligent saver, this overlooked IRS provision and how it could be your ticket to leaving work in your mid-50s without sacrificing your peace of mind. It's rarely talked about, often misunderstood, and that's exactly what makes it such a game changer. I'm Sean Stevenson, a certified financial planner and wealth advisor, and I've reviewed hundreds of financial plans where families who want to retire in their mid to late 50s can only do so if they utilize this one strategy. In this video, I'll break down how this rule actually works, the common traps that can ruin it, and why it often beats out other early retirement strategies like Roth IRAs or 72T plans. If retiring early is on your radar, this could be the most important video that you watch all year, so stick around. You've probably been told that you can't touch your 401k account until you're 59 and a half without paying a 10% penalty. But what if that's not the whole story? What if your 401k could actually help you retire years earlier than you think, penalty-free? What if one IRS rule could give you access to your retirement savings at age 55 and Vanguard just never told you? Let me explain why this could be the most underutilized strategy in early retirement and why Vanguard's advice might be keeping you stuck working a job that you don't want to. Like I said, Vanguard isn't your enemy, but they're not your guide either. See, the way investment firms like Vanguard make money is by keeping your assets under their management. The longer your money stays with them, the more fees that they collect. This means that they have no incentive, or quite literally a negative incentive, to promote rules that let you withdraw your money earlier. And one of the biggest examples of this is the IRS Rule of 55. Here's the key. The IRS allows you to take penalty-free withdrawals from your current employer's 401k or 403b account starting in the calendar year you turn 55, not 59 and a half, but 55. It doesn't matter if you retire early, get laid off, or walk away by choice, as long as you separate from your job in or after the year you turn 55. You can access your 401k without having a 10% penalty. Of course, you would still pay regular income tax on the dollars you pull out, but there's no early withdrawal hit. Now, here's the number one mistake that I see people make: retiring at or after 55 and immediately rolling their 401k into an IRA because that's what they've always been told to do. And just like that, boom, the Rule of 55 is off the table. So if your advisor tells you to automatically roll your 401k into an IRA, I would run the other way. They're putting your early retirement and your flexibility at risk. Let me give you some numbers. Let's say you retire early and all of your assets are rolled over to your IRA. If you take $100,000 out the first year as married filing jointly, you'd be around the 22% marginal tax bracket, which is between $94,000 and $201,000 of ordinary income. With that alone, you would owe about $8,000 in federal taxes because it's a marginal tax bracket. Now, imagine with a 10% early withdrawal penalty on top of that, your taxes would over double to $18,000, and that's just federal. But with the Rule of 55, the same withdrawal only costs you regular income tax, so that $8,000. There's no early withdrawal penalty. That's $10,000 difference on one transaction, and that's exactly why the Rule of 55 strategy can really be a lifesaver, especially if you plan to retire early. Now, why isn't this strategy front page news on every retirement site? Like I said, it's because companies like Vanguard or Fidelity benefit when your money stays with them. So let's put some numbers behind that so you understand. Let's say you have $1 million invested with an average fee of 0.5%. That's $5,000 a year in fees. Over a decade, that's $50,000. Now multiply that across hundreds of thousands of clients. And it's no surprise that Fidelity and Vanguard aren't highlighting strategies that can encourage early withdrawals. Again, and I really want to reiterate, I don't believe this is done with malice. I just don't believe that it's in their business model and in their best interest to publicize early access strategies like this Rule of 55. So what's the cost of not knowing this type of strategy? Well, you could work years longer than you need to. You can miss out on 5 years of critical tax planning window. And worst of all, you can lose time that you'll never get back. I've seen it too often. Families stuck in a job that they're emotionally done with just because they didn't know they had other options. So let's talk about how to use this strategy the right way, because one wrong move and it can be gone. First, timing is everything. You must leave your employer in the year you turn 55 or later, not before. Second, you need to leave the money in your 401k account, your current employer's 401k account, I should say. So definitely do not roll that over into an IRA. That instantly disqualifies you from using this rule. And third, you are going to need to confirm that your plan allows for partial withdrawals before you do anything. Check your summary plan description or SPD document, or call your plan administrator and ask, can I take flexible distributions after separation at age 55? Or do I have to take a lump sum? Because that's also really important to know. Now you might ask, why does that matter? A lump sum can push you into a very high tax bracket and create cash flow issues all in your first year of retirement. So we want to make sure that you avoid that. Now, the rule of 55 is powerful because it's flexible. You can withdraw as much or as little as you need to each year. You can stay in control of your income. And there's no lock-in like there is with the 72T rule, which I'll talk about in a second. And you can strategically manage your taxable income during key planning years, and that's critical as well. This strategy can be a great bridge from your last paycheck to your first Social Security paycheck without unnecessary penalties. So let's talk about how do you make the most of it. Well, first, you can consolidate your old 401k accounts into your current employer's 401k before you leave. That way, if you need to, you have access to all of your funds under the rule of 55. Second, you can model what we call your RPI, or your required portfolio income. So really, you're going to figure out how much do you need annually, including taxes, healthcare, travel, etc., to live the lifestyle you want to live in your early retirement when you're your healthiest and your most vibrant self. This will give you a good idea as to whether or not retiring early makes sense in the first place before you even utilize this strategy or the rule of 55. And third, I'd recommend using a risk-based income guardrail system. Guardrails give you more flexibility and protection, especially earlier on in retirement, like I said, when you're younger and healthier, with the assumption that you can spend more earlier on in retirement if you're willing to be able to be flexible on your income, either increasing it or decreasing it based on what happens in the market and other factors within your portfolio. Now, you may hear of other early retirement income strategies. Like I just mentioned, the 72T rule or the substantially equal periodic payment SEP rule. They're the same rule, just two names, or utilizing Roth IRAs for early retirement income. Now, Roth IRAs are great because you can pull your contributions out tax-free and penalty-free anytime, which is awesome. But earnings, unless you're age 59 and a half and you've held the account for at least 5 years, you will get hit with taxes and potentially a penalty as well. So if most of your growth in your Roth IRA is just that, is capital gains, then that might not be ideal for early access for retirement income. Also, most people just don't have huge Roth IRA balances, which may mean that the account is not enough to support your full retirement spending for several years. Now, the 72T rule or the SEP rule allows you to withdraw from your 401k account or even your IRA, which is great, but it locks you into fixed payments for at least 5 years or until age 59 and a half, whichever is longer. Now, there is a little bit of flexibility within the strategy, being able to transfer from a fixed payment schedule to an RMD type schedule. But long story short, if you do break your payment schedule and you don't want to keep taking on the same payments, maybe the market drops or something changes in your life, then you do owe the penalties plus interest on every dollar that you withdrew. So that's why I say SEP should only be used under the guidance of a professional advisor, and you really need to vet it to make sure that it's the only and the right strategy for you. Compare both of those to the rule of 55, which in my opinion is just simpler, it's more flexible, and it's tied to your biggest retirement account, which is a huge plus. The rule of 55 is real, it's powerful, and it's a strategy that you can actually use to start your retirement now, not just someday. You don't have to play by Wall Street's rules. You don't have to wait until age 59 to retire, and you have options. And now you know one of those best options, which just might be the rule of 55 for you. So we've learned about the rule of 55, how it could apply to your situation, some advantages that you can use it for, and some pitfalls to avoid with it. And now you know that maybe it might be the strategy to allow you to retire earlier than you thought possible. However, I obviously could not cover everything you need to know to retire before age 60 in this short video. So if you want to understand more strategies that are going to allow you to retire maybe earlier than you thought, click this next video. I think it's going to be really helpful for you, and I hope to see you in the next one.